I was deep in a merger agreement when my phone lit up. My wife wrote, "I think maybe we need to break up. 5 years of marriage," tossed out like a question about dinner. I looked at the message for a slow count of 30. Then I typed, "I agree. Your things will be on the porch within an hour." The typing bubbles flashed, disappeared, came back. Wait, I was joking. What the hell, Adam, call me. I was not joking, and I was not calling. She did not know she had just tripped a plan I had been lining up for weeks. I closed the file and walked to our bedroom. Vanessa's closet was arranged by color because appearances mattered to her. I started sliding hangers off the rod one by one. Dresses, blouses, those shoes she swore were investments. I dropped everything into contractor bags with the same care I use when I sort discovery exhibits. My phone buzzed over and over. Vanessa calling, texting, calling again. I let it ring. She had told me she was working late again. I almost believed it until I remembered she had said the same thing 6 nights in a row. Either she had solved nuclear fusion or she had found a new hobby. Considering she barely cleared high school chemistry, I knew where to place my bet. 3 weeks earlier, I had hired a private investigator. Tom Alvarez had already confirmed what my gut told me. Photos of Vanessa entering the Palmer house with a man I now knew as Cole Harrington, chief executive of Harrington Luxury Properties, husband of former federal prosecutor Sloan Harrington, and apparently a collector of other men's wives. I dragged the bagged clothes to the front porch just as Vanessa's BMW turned into our Lincoln Park driveway. She jumped out like the car was burning, blonde hair perfect even in a rush. "Adam, what is this?" She stared at the bags, then at me in the doorway. I was kidding. You know I was kidding. Was it a joke when you were with your boss last Tuesday, or only when you texted me about it? Her face ran through surprise, denial, anger, fear. She missed her calling as an actress. "I do not know what you are talking about." I showed her a photo on my phone. Vanessa and Cole leaning close at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse, her hand on his arm, his eyes fixed on her mouth. "Tom Alvarez is very thorough," I said. "Former Chicago Police Department detective, now freelance. Excellent documentation." Her mask slipped. "You had me followed?" "I had my suspicions confirmed." "There is a difference." She tried to shoulder past me. "This is my house too, Adam." "Actually, it is not," I said. "Check the deed. I bought it before we married. In Illinois, premarital property is pretty clear." The color drained from her face. Paperwork never interested her. She left the boring legal parts to me. Another in a series of mistakes. "You cannot kick me out." "I can, and I am. You have 30 days to make other arrangements. Illinois law is generous about that." My phone rang. Unknown number, but I already knew. "Hello. This is Cole Harrington. We need to talk." Vanessa reached for the phone when she heard his voice. I stepped back. "Mr. Harrington," I said, "I wondered when you would call. You are making a mistake here, Carter. This does not have to get ugly." "You are right," I said. "It does not have to get ugly." I met Vanessa's pleading eyes. "It is going to be devastating instead." I hung up, closed the door on Vanessa's protests, and walked back inside. The law taught me something early. Emotion is the enemy of judgment. Anger makes you sloppy. Hurt makes you stupid. Cold planning is what makes you dangerous. I had been suspicious for months before hiring Tom. Vanessa changed in small ways most people would miss. But I make my living noticing what other people overlook. I find clauses that can sink a deal and patterns that unwind careful lies. The late nights started in March. "Big project," she said. "Harrington is expanding into the Gold Coast." Plausible. Luxury real estate was booming and Vanessa was their top marketing director. Then came the new wardrobe, pricey pieces beyond her salary. The suddenly locked phone. The way she headed straight to the shower the second she came home, like she was rinsing off evidence. Tom gathered proof the way a trial lawyer builds a case. Hotel receipts on Cole's corporate card. Security video from the Palmer house showing them together at 2:47 in the afternoon on a Tuesday when Vanessa told me she was touring properties in Evanston. Phone records with dozens of long calls, often late at night. The image that ended any doubt was shot last Friday. Vanessa and Cole in the back seat of his Bentley, tucked in the shadows behind a North Shore warehouse. Even through the tinted glass, there was no question what they were doing. Tom's telephoto lens caught everything in harsh, courtroom-ready detail. I spread the prints across our dining table like evidence exhibits, each one labeled with date, time, and location. Tom was thorough. You have to be when your work may end up in front of a judge. My phone buzzed again. A text from Vanessa. Please let me explain. It is not what you think. I almost laughed. It was exactly what I thought. The only surprise was how ordinary it all was. Successful woman, older boss, afternoon hotels, the same script I have seen a dozen times in other people's divorces. This time, unfortunately, it was mine. If I tried to sell this story to a movie studio, they would pass. Too obvious, they would say. What was not obvious was what I planned to do next. I spent the evening doing what I do for clients, a deep dive. Public registries, corporate filings, property records, court dockets. Piece by piece, a picture of Cole Harrington came into focus, a man convinced that money placed him above gravity. On paper, Harrington Luxury Properties looked bulletproof, roughly $500 million in yearly revenue, marquee listings across Chicagoland, and ties to the city's oldest money. Look harder, and the fissures showed. Employee churn was sky-high, especially among young, attractive women. 2 internal complaints were resolved off the record and never saw a courtroom. His personal life matched the pattern. Married to Sloan Harrington, daughter of Judge Harrison Blackwood of the federal appellate bench, while a trail of managed affairs disappeared behind expensive crisis communications. Cole thought his connections made him untouchable. He was about to meet friction. First, I had to absorb Vanessa's counterpunch. She arrived the next morning with coffee and croissants from our favorite spot, Classic Peace Offering. She had chosen her armor carefully. The blue dress I once said made her eyes pop, makeup dialed to vulnerable. Can we talk? She asked, setting the bag on the counter. 5 years of marriage deserves a conversation. I took the coffee, stayed standing. Go ahead. This thing with Cole, it just happened. It does not mean anything. Which time are we discussing? I asked. The office, the back seat of his car, or the 3 hours at the Palmer house last Tuesday? Her composure cracked. You really did have me followed. I had facts verified. There is a difference. She tried tears. I love you, Adam. It was I do not know, a mistake. A stupid mistake. Missing the dry cleaning is a mistake, I said. This was a series of choices over months. People make mistakes. People have affairs. It does not have to end everything. I put the cup down and pulled up a photo Tom Alvarez took on Friday night. Vanessa went white. Does Sloan Harrington know about her husband's hobbies? I asked. Bullseye. Her mouth opened and closed without sound. She does not, does she? I imagine Cole has been very careful. Wives with powerful fathers have resources. You would not. Why would I not? She reached for leverage. Because it would hurt people who do not deserve it. Sloan does not deserve this. Neither did I said. But that did not slow you down. She changed tactics, stepping closer, fingertips brushing my arm. We can fix it. Counseling. A reset. We can. We cannot, I said. You forfeited when you went shopping for options. My phone rang. Tom did not bother with hello. You need to see something. Can you meet in an hour? I will be there. I ended the call. Vanessa watched, panic rising. Who was that? Work, I said. Not technically false. This had become my most important case. I grabbed my keys. She followed me onto the driveway. Where are you going? We are not done. We are, I said. If you need to communicate, do it through lawyers. She stood there with the coffee and croissants, finally understanding her perfect plan had turned into a maze. Tom picked a meeting place no real estate whale or corporate counsel would stumble into, a worn diner in Uptown. He waited in a corner booth, looking like every seasoned cop I have met, tired eyes, coffee on his shirt, and a posture that said he had seen the range of human weakness. Your timing was perfect, he said, sliding a manila envelope across. I was about to shut it down when this happened. I opened the packet and saw why he called. Photos of Cole Harrington, but not with Vanessa. These were from the Chicago Athletic Association last night. Cole with a redhead who looked barely legal. Who is she? I asked. Jessica Morrison, 23, Tom said. Junior associate. Started 6 months ago. He took a sip. Judging by the body language, this is not their first drink together. I studied the sequence, his palm on her thigh, her leaning in, comfortable, practiced choreography. There is more, Tom said. I pulled hiring data. In the last 3 years, Harrington Luxury has brought in 12 women under 25 who fit the same profile. 7 resigned within 6 months. The ones who stayed were promoted fast, thin resumes or not. I looked back at the photos. The case I needed was assembling itself, one page, one pattern at a time. The pattern was not just ugly, it was organized. Cole Harrington was not simply unfaithful. He ran a system. Do you think his wife knows about the others? I asked Tom. I doubt it, he said. Vanessa probably believed she was special. The cold truth was she was just the latest entry in a long ledger. Tom leaned back in the booth. So what is your move? With this evidence, divorce is simple. Divorce is only the starting line, I said. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through the notes I had built on Cole's business. Look at these financials. Revenue spikes that do not track with the market. Sales moving at prices that make no sense. Cash deals large enough that federal reporting should have been triggered. Tom let out a low whistle. You think he is washing money? I think whatever he is doing will not survive daylight, I said. And I think his wife will be very interested in guarding her family's name. Sloan Harrington, née Blackwood, served as a federal prosecutor for 8 years before private practice. Her father is Judge Harrison Blackwood on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. Right, Tom said. A woman like that does not just get divorced, I said. She gets even, especially if her husband's behavior can embarrass the Blackwood name. I gathered the photos and stood. Send me everything you can dig up on Harrington Luxury, financial records, hiring files, anything. What about continued surveillance on your wife? Tom asked. That is no longer necessary, I said. I have what I need. He shook my hand. Good hunting. Driving back to Lincoln Park, I felt the same charge I get when a complicated case finally clicks. The pieces were sliding into place. Only this time, there would be no settlement conference. This was about dismantling a man who thought rules were for other people. I parked outside the Harringtons' Gold Coast mansion, a limestone shrine to old money and older influence. Through the windows, I saw warm light and the edges of a dinner party. Sloane's world, elegant and orderly, built on the assumption that her husband deserved the pedestal. I climbed the stone steps and rang the bell. A housekeeper opened the door, hesitating when she took in my casual clothes against the tuxedos and gowns inside. I am sorry, sir. This is a private dinner. Adam Carter, I said, handing over my card. I need to speak with Mrs. Harrington about her husband. It is urgent. She disappeared. Moments later, Sloane stood in the doorway exactly as her photograph suggested. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, a posture that came from a lifetime around power. The black cocktail dress probably cost more than a month's rent. Her expression, though, was all business. Mr. Carter, I am not sure I understand. Your husband is having an affair with my wife, I said. And with others. I have proof. You should see it before any of this becomes public. Her face did not move, but I watched her fingers tighten on the doorframe. I see. We should speak privately. She led me to a study lined with legal texts and family photos. Cole was strangely absent from most of them. She closed the door, and the prosecutor returned to her eyes. Show me. I handed over the envelope. First, Cole with Vanessa, then Cole with Jessica Morrison. She reviewed each image with clinical calm, but the knuckles holding the prints went white. How long? She asked. My wife, at least 3 months, I said. The rest goes back years. Tom Alvarez can give you a clean timeline. She set the photos on her desk with careful precision. What do you want? Justice for both of us. And what does justice look like to you, Mr. Carter? Your husband thinks money makes him untouchable, I said. He is wrong. You have resources he forgets about, legal connections, your family's influence, and financial controls he cannot bypass without you. Together, we can make sure he faces consequences. Sloane studied the photographs for a long moment. When she looked up, her gaze was as cold as winter water. I will need to think about this. Of course, I said. While you think, you should know he threatened me yesterday. Claimed he had connections. Suggested he could destroy my career. Men like your husband only respond to power. The question is whether you are willing to use yours. I placed my card beside the photos. My numbers are on there if you want a longer conversation. Walking back to my car, I felt the first clean satisfaction I had felt since Vanessa's text. This was no longer only about ending a marriage. It was about dismantling a man who believed he could take whatever he wanted and never pay the bill. Cole Harrington was about to learn just how wrong he was. At exactly 8 o'clock in the morning, Sloane Harrington called. No greetings, no small talk. Meet me at Millennium Park in 1 hour. South entrance by the Crown Fountain. She was already there when I arrived, dressed like a runner but not out for a jog. We moved toward the lake, away from the early dog walkers and office commuters. I spent the night going through everything I know about my husband's business, she said. You were right about the irregularities. I told myself they were aggressive but lawful. Now I am wondering how many federal lines he crossed while I gave him perfect cover, a wife with prosecutorial credentials and family ties to the justice system. We stopped at a bench facing Lake Michigan. The morning sun hit the water like hammered metal, pretty and deceptive, like Cole's entire world. I want him ruined, she said quietly. Not just divorced. Ruined. Can you help with that? Mrs. Harrington, I said. I spent 5 years learning how to take people apart, legally. Hostile takeovers, executive fraud, raiders who think they are smarter than the law. Your husband is just another target. Sloan, she corrected. And your wife? Vanessa made her choice, I said. Now she lives with it. She studied me with a prosecutor's stare. You are very cold about this. Emotion is the enemy of judgment, I said. Cold gets results. For the first time since I met her, she smiled. I think we are going to work well together. We sketched a plan. Sloan would use her legal network to spark inquiries into Cole's business while filing for divorce and freezing assets. I would coordinate with Tom Alvarez to document every piece of Cole's affairs, building an airtight record of infidelity that would bury him in court. What about the criminal side? I asked. Leave that to me, she said. I still have friends at the United States Attorney's Office. If there are federal crimes tucked into his deals, they will find them. As we stood, she caught my arm. One question. Are you doing this for justice or for revenge? Is there a difference? Revenge is hot and personal, she said. Justice is methodical and complete. Then we are after justice, I said. Good, she replied. Revenge burns out. Justice burns through and leaves nothing standing. That afternoon I sat at my firm, working on client files while I used our research databases to dig deeper into Cole's empire. What I pulled up was worse than I expected. Property transfers that defied common sense, Delaware shell entities with no real business purpose, and luxury sales to buyers who existed only on paper. If I were charging it, I would call it a textbook laundering operation wrapped in high-end real estate. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Can we talk? This is getting crazy. I ignored it. 20 minutes later, Cole says you are making threats. That is not like you. Maybe it should have been. At 6 o'clock in the evening, I stepped out of the office as a black Escalade eased to the curb. Cole climbed out. Exactly what central casting sends when you ask for a wealthy villain. Silver hair, tailored suit, winter in Cabo tan. 2 men in cheaper suits flanked him, the weight under their jackets not from business cards. Mr. Carter, Cole said, it is time we had a face-to-face. I agree. He motioned to the SUV. Shall we talk somewhere private? Here is fine, I said. Plenty of cameras. Plenty of witnesses. Very civilized. His smile showed teeth, not warmth. You have been busy, calling my wife, spreading lies. I have not lied, I said. Everything I shared with Sloan was documented. She is my wife, he said. She will stand by me when this nonsense blows over. Will she? I asked, because I got the sense she is more interested in standing over your grave. One of the muscle men stepped in, but Cole lifted a hand. You are making a mistake, Carter. I have connections. I can make your life very difficult. You already did when you decided to sleep with my wife. Vanessa came on to me, he said. What was I supposed to do? Show some character, I said. If you had any, we would not be here. The nearest guard muttered about teaching me respect. Cole shook his head. I am offering you one chance to walk away, he said. Drop this vendetta. Take your wife back. Move on. And if I do not? Then you are going to learn how much damage a man with resources can do to someone who overreaches. I looked at him for a long second. This predator who built a life taking from people who could not push back. Then I smiled. Mr. Harrington, your mistake is assuming I am one of those people. I turned my back on Cole and his 2 shadows and walked toward the parking garage, feeling their eyes dig between my shoulder blades. Let them watch. Let them believe they had put fear in me. Tomorrow they would learn the difference between intimidation and motivation, and which one actually moves a man like me. At home, the quiet hit me first, the kind that makes a house sound hollow. My phone lit the room as it buzzed to life. 17 missed calls from Vanessa and a voicemail that was mostly sobbing wrapped around threats to make this right, plus promises that she would end things with Cole if I gave us one more chance. Too late for that. Far too late. I poured a measured scotch, let the ice crack once, and called Tom Alvarez. I need everything you can dig up on Cole's circle, I said. Associates, partners, employees, anyone with proximity to his deals. I am looking for witnesses. I am looking for leverage. And Tom, assume we are being watched from here on out. He is escalating. I want to be ready. Copy, he said. Full paranoid mode. I ended the call and sat in the middle of my empty living room, listening to the soft hum of the refrigerator and the distant whine of a bus braking on Clark Street. Sloan was right. There is a line between revenge and justice. Revenge is hot and personal. Justice is cold and methodical. But I also knew this. When a system fails and a man like Cole learns he can step over people without consequence, sometimes the only way back to justice runs straight through revenge. Tomorrow would be for work. Real work. The first sign our plan was landing came 3 days later. I was in a deposition on a different matter when my phone lit with text from Vanessa. What did you do? Then, Cole has been suspended pending investigation. Finally, call me now. I did not call her. I called Sloan. My father's friends move quickly, she said, and I could hear the satisfaction. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, opened an investigation yesterday on anonymous tips about irregular transactions. The board voted this morning to suspend Cole pending findings. Anonymous tips, I said, and former employees with a lot to say about cash deals and falsified paperwork, she added. It is remarkable what people remember once they have immunity and a safe room. The familiar rush, the one I get when a plan locks into place, ran through me. What is next? Divorce papers are being served this afternoon, Sloan said. I am filing to freeze assets immediately based on evidence of financial malfeasance. That should keep him from sliding money offshore. And criminally, the United States Attorney's Office is very interested. Some of his property sales match patterns they are already looking at in other money laundering cases. After the deposition, I drove home through Lincoln Park, watching the late light stretch between trees and brownstones, thinking about how quickly a life unravels when you press the right weak points. Cole had spent years building a kingdom on the belief that money and connections made him untouchable. Every kingdom has load-bearing walls. We were cutting them with care. Vanessa was waiting in my driveway, pacing tight little circles like a caged animal. She had been crying, mascara tracked under her eyes, and the hair that was always camera-ready looked windblown and tired. You destroyed him, she said as soon as I stepped out. Are you happy now? I am getting there. This is insane, Adam. Over what? A stupid affair? Several affairs, I said, walking past her toward the stairs, with multiple women, some barely out of college, and apparently a pile of financial crimes. But sure, let us call it a stupid affair if that helps you sleep. She followed to the porch. You are ruining innocent people. Sloan, for example. From where I stand, I said. She looks grateful that someone finally showed her the truth. Vanessa blanched. You told his wife. I showed his wife, I said. Photographs, documents, transaction trails. She was very interested. Oh God, she whispered twice. Oh God, this is really happening. What did you expect? I asked, turning to face her. That I would look the other way? That you and your boss would joke about the clueless husband while I paid the mortgage? It was not like that. It was exactly like that, I said. You chose him. You chose lies. You chose to blow up our marriage for a man who uses women in a pattern that goes back years. The only difference this time is that there are consequences. My phone rang. Tom, we have a situation, he said. Cole just walked out of the police station with 2 attorneys, and he does not look happy. My source says they asked about the laundering allegations, but no arrest. Not enough yet. I asked. Not enough yet, he said. But here is the interesting piece. One of his lawyers is Vincent Marino. I knew the name. Marino defends organized crime figures, the kind of counsel you hire when federal charges have moved from rumor to schedule. Suggestions? I asked. Watch your back, Tom said. Men like Cole do not handle humiliation. And now he's boxed in. The call ended. Vanessa stood on the porch with that panic blooming again. Who was that? Work. Adam, she said, voice thin. I think we should leave town for a while. Both of us. Together. Just until this blows over. There is no us, I said. And this is not blowing over. She gripped my arm. You do not understand what kind of man Cole is, what he is capable of. I understand exactly, I said. He is a predator who has been protected by money and handshakes his entire life. That protection is peeling away. Predators are dangerous only when they hunt softer targets. Do you think you are stronger than he is? Vanessa asked. I think I am smarter, I said. And I think I have better friends. Right then a silver Mercedes slid into the driveway like I had called it with a remote. Sloane Harrington stepped out wearing running gear, but her face was not out for exercise. It was the look prosecutors wear right before they take a witness apart on cross-examination. Ms. Miller, she said to Vanessa with icy politeness. How nice to finally meet the woman who has been sleeping with my husband. Vanessa actually stepped back. Relax, Sloane said. I am not here for you. You are irrelevant. Sloane turned to me. We need to talk. Privately. Vanessa looked from her to me and finally understood she had become a side character in a larger story. Adam, please. Go home, I said. Or go to a hotel. Or go wherever you want. Just go. She stood a moment longer, gathering the scraps of dignity she had left, then walked to her car. Sloane watched her the way a biologist watches an ant trail, curious, detached. Pathetic, Sloane said. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. She knew he was married. She made her choice. Sloane's expression hardened. Speaking of choices, Cole made one today that will cost him everything. We went inside. She unlocked her phone and showed me a text. Tell your new boyfriend to back off, or he will regret it. This is not over. He sent that an hour ago, she said. He just threatened a federal judge's daughter in writing. That is a special kind of stupid. I studied the screen. What are you thinking? I am thinking my husband gave us probable cause for a restraining order, she said. And I am thinking men who make stupid threats also make stupid mistakes. And I am thinking we need to be very careful about what comes next. She smiled. Cool, small. And I finally understood why opposing counsel learned to fear her in federal court. Careful, she said, is for people who have something to lose. What do we have to lose, Adam? After she left, that question ran circles in my head. What did I have to lose? My marriage was gone. The life I built had holes in every wall. My reputation might survive, but the stain would follow me. Sometimes when you lose what matters most, you get the strange freedom to do what is necessary. What was necessary was finishing what we started. Cole violated the restraining order at 3 o'clock on Thursday morning. A brick came through my kitchen window. A note was rubber banded to it. Drop the investigation, or next time it will not be a window. I called the police. Then I called Sloane. She arrived with private security while officers dusted for prints they would not find. He is panicking, Sloane said, reading the note with gloved hands. And panic gives us more legal ammunition. At 7 o'clock, Tom Alvarez called. Turn on Channel 7. I clicked the television. Federal agents were swarming Harrington luxury properties. The Chiron, FBI raids luxury real estate firm in money laundering probe. I felt a hard edge of satisfaction as Cole's world caved in on live television. Satisfaction and a warning bell. This is when wounded animals are most dangerous, when the trap finally snaps shut. Vanessa called, breathless, panicked. Cole is saying crazy things, blaming you for everything. I am scared. Stay at your sister's, I said. If he contacts you, call the police. By afternoon, Sloane messaged with the next strike. Emergency asset forfeiture granted, she said when we spoke. The judge signed everything, accounts, properties, vehicles. He is broke until the criminal case resolves. How did he take it? He did not, she said. His lawyers could not reach him. At 6 o'clock, I stepped out of my office and the lights died. Emergency power stuttered back to life, but I heard the elevator doors slide open onto my dark floor. I called Sloane and whispered, I am in trouble. Footsteps approached down the hall. My door swung open. Cole Harrington stood there looking like the late edition of a ruined man. Unshaven, tie loose, eyes red and glittering with rage. Hello, Carter, he said. We need to finish our conversation. He had paid building security to vanish. He held up a tablet. I know things about important people, he said. Every transaction, every payment, every arrangement. Senators, judges, corporate leaders, all the people who have used my services. He was threatening to set the city on fire unless I backed off. Your name is in here, too, he added. Your firm handled transactions for my shell companies. You will be disbarred. Probably indicted. My stomach turned to ice. How many merger agreements had been shells in a suit? How many signatures tied to his scaffolding? You have 1 hour, he said. Call a press conference. Recant everything. Or I release it all. Half the city burns. He left. I called Sloan, laid out the threat. We call his bluff, I said. What if it is not a bluff? She asked. Then we deal with the consequences, I said. I will not be blackmailed. 57 minutes later, my phone rang. Time is up, Carter, Cole said. What is your decision? Go to hell, I said. He laughed, a sound like glass breaking. You just destroyed half the city. I just refuse to be blackmailed. Within minutes, reporters started calling about a massive document dump exposing Chicago corruption. Tom texted updates as he watched the feeds. It is everywhere, every outlet at once. And your name is in the files. Then Sloan's text. FBI grabbed him at O'Hare. He was trying to get on a flight to Costa Rica. At home, news vans took over the block. Sloan waited inside with a bottle already uncorked. Did they get him? I asked. They did, she said. It is over. The criminal case, yes, I said. The fallout from those files is just starting. We watched our lives taken apart on television. Money laundering, organized crime contacts, payments to officials, a network of shells, and straw buyers and dirty closings. The full picture was finally in the open. Any regrets? Sloan asked. About Cole? No, I said. He was a predator who thought money made him untouchable, and that collateral damage was the cost of doing business. He chose to threaten innocent people rather than face consequences alone. Vanessa called one last time. I am sorry for all of it, she said. What happens now? I looked at Sloan, already planning the next filings, and at the bright lights through the curtains, reporters asking for explanations for events that spoke for themselves. Now we deal with the consequences, I said. All of us. My marriage was over. My career might be rubble. My name would live inside Chicago's biggest corruption scandal. But I had done what I set out to do. I had brought down a predator who believed he could not be touched. The trap worked exactly as designed. Cole Harrington was in custody, his empire exposed, and his victims free to speak. We were scorched by the blast. That was the price of justice, cold, practical, and complete.